morning,
Hey, Jane, how are
afternoon,
you?
evening. Hi, Julia. How are you?
I'm all right, thank you.
Yeah, I'm doing okay too.
Yeah.
Hi everybody. Hi Plucky. Hi Lottie B. Hi Moonscare Ramon. Um, Meet Julia. I just want to tell you a little bit about my experience with Julia. Well, you know what? Let's do this first. Um, First of all, can you tell us a little bit? Let's get into hypnotism first, or that type of thing, whatever you call it, and tell me about yourself and how you got interested in it and what you did, nutshelling it.
Sure. Cole's Notes version. When I was 49, I decided I did not want to be 50 and, excuse me, still biting my nails. And I was a horrible nail biter, like really hardcore. Like you don't even want me to describe what my nails look like at times. And so I thought, I got to do something about this. And I found a hypnotist in my town who I went to see, and I had two sessions with her, and I stopped biting my nails. And it blew my mind. And at the same time, I was looking for something else to do with the next chapter of my life, and I thought, this is it. This is what I want to do. And so a couple of years later, I was able to take my hypnosis training, and that was in 2013. And it's great. What is hypnosis? Hypnosis is basically a state of focused attention with relaxation as a side benefit. And in hypnosis, your attention is focused on my voice. I guide you into hypnosis. And if you choose to allow yourself to be guided in hypnosis, together we can work on resolving whatever issue you have, pretty much, almost any issue, really. So that's kind of it in a nutshell. Does that help, Jane?
Yes, and I would like to say that I had worked with I really had that. I was like, I need a hypnotist really bad. I need somebody to help me with this, like, deep down inside um childhood trauma-ish type stuff. Where did this come from? Where did that come from? And so I went to somebody that lived right behind me, and it was good, but it wasn't as good as then when I found you. I just, I never could relax or felt as ease as I do with you. And I will just tell everybody who's watching now and everybody who's watching in the future or the past or whatever, that I am I am so not perfect, and I've had so much trauma in my life, and I've just been trying to overcome so many things. And with working with you, Julia, I have I healed relationships. I learned boundaries. I've just advanced so much in my own personal life that um, I feel so much better, and I feel like I can finally offer people something other than a shell of a person, because I felt like a shell of a human, really. I felt like I was just walking around and not I was just a human being. I wasn't a human doing. I mean, yes, I was meditating. I've always done cards. I've always been psychic, all that kind of stuff. But there's trauma involved with that too, as
Mhm.
well, that people don't really understand, and that I don't talk about. And I haven't talked about it maybe I've talked about it with you. Being a teenager and being psychic and knowing everything that's like looking at people, and I can't like read people's minds, but I almost, it depends on how close I was to you. And I
Mhm.
never told anybody that, I was like, well, you're, you know, but I could always tell when somebody was lying to me. And that's a really hard life. It really is. Knowing things that you just don't want to know. Being a teenager and trying to navigate this world is hard enough without getting everybody else's stories and having all of this energy hit you. So for me, uh, working with the hypnotist, working with you has really has brought everything in and made everything okay. And speaking of nail biting, I don't bite my nails, I bite the skin around my
Yeah.
nails. Julia and I have not really worked on that very much, but that has lessened, and I think it's because of my anxiety. I think that all of those things that I have come to you and asked for sessions about, that the anxiety level has gone down, so I'm not messing with my fingers as much as I used to. And I haven't even done specific stop nail biting or stop smoking. I don't smoke, but you know what I mean. I've never done like one of those specific things. We've mostly done, well, we'll talk about what we've done. You
Yeah.
know. So it's I don't know if anybody's really here. Does anybody have any questions? But let's there was something that you told me. Hi, Viviani. Nice to have you here. Um, we talked about intention, trust, and expectations. Like instead of having a goal, we have an intention, which
Yeah.
seems to really help uh, getting to where you need to be, right?
Well, one thing I heard is that intention is something you can act upon, you can take action on, as opposed to a goal is like a goalpost, down the road that you want to get to. Intention is taking the action to get there. At least that's my understanding of it. Someone else may see something different. Oh, and I just wanted to say hello to everybody who's on here. I'm sorry I didn't do that earlier.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry, I didn't give you a chance. And hello,
That's okay.
Viviani, Pamela, and Mystical Thorn, and Gerald. We were talking. Were your ears burning this morning, Gerald? Just joking.
We're saying
Uh,
good things, Gerald. Um, yeah, and but expectation, that's really important. Sorry, you said expectation, intention. What else did you say?
Trust.
And trust. Yeah, all those are very important for success in hypnosis because if you don't trust the person you're working with, you may not be able to let yourself relax and take yourself into hypnosis because what a lot of people don't know is that hypnosis is really self-hypnosis. I'm just the guide. I know how to guide you into that state, but you do the inner work. Every session we did, Jane, you were doing the work. I was just the facilitator, really. I was the guide. I was taking you in. I know the questions to ask. I know how to get you there, but you get yourself there. And so that's where the intention comes in. Um, and trusting me. If you didn't trust me, you may not be, you may have had more trouble. And expectation, expecting that it's going to work. If someone goes into a hypnosis session thinking, gee, I think I'm going to give this a try to see if it works, your chances of being successful are probably not going to be as good, if at all. Like I'll share one story with someone I worked with. I'd worked with her a few years ago, and she wanted to quit smoking because she needed to have surgery, and her doctor wouldn't do the surgery till she quit smoking. So she quit smoking, and then she got her surgery. When the incentive to quit smoking was gone, she started again, and then she called me and said, I'm really embarrassed. I started up again, and I called this other guy who came to my house, and it was a guy, and my dog didn't like him, so I put her in the bedroom, and he did the session, and as soon as he left, I went on the balcony and lit a cigarette, and I said, well, that happens. I mean, come on back and we'll work on it. And we did 2 more sessions, and a year or so later I ran into her at the groomers because she took her dog in, I took mine in, and I said, so how's it going, still not smoking? She said, yep, and I'm saving a boatload of money.
Good. Yeah, and Gerald brings that up. Trust is really important.
Exactly.
Trusting your tarot reader.
Yep.
Trust, trust, trust. And then the other thing that we were kind of talking about is okay, first I'm just going to say my one thing, like I know that when I'm in and Julia teaches you self-hypnosis.
Yeah.
So you can go into that, and I do it every day. Before I do readings, I connect to my super consciousness, And those that it feels like a higher realm that I get into. And so Julia, when you have a session with her, that's sort of part of the beginning of your process, correct? I mean,
It,
everybody gets that, right?
yep. And I call it SEW for self-empowerment work.
I love that. So
Yeah.
writing that down. Okay, self-empowerment work. And it works. It's very, very interesting. So you talked yesterday, or when we were talking about you said that people go into hypnosis hundreds of times a day.
They do. They do. Well, no one's ever counted, but it's a completely natural state. It's like has anybody here, and you can, I can't see it, but Jane will see it. Have Have you ever driven anywhere like on a highway, and then all of a sudden said, "Oh my God, where'd the last 10 miles go? I'm here already."
Or you miss your exit.
Or you missed your exit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. If that's ever happened to you, that was a state of hypnosis called highway hypnosis. Because you get really focused on your driving, your subconscious takes over and starts doing the driving. But don't worry, it's safe, because if something happened that needed your attention, you would be back to full conscious awareness, because your mind's very powerful. It's not going to let you drive into a brick wall, or
Yeah.
drive off the highway.
Yeah,
And
Cat Mama's got it. Altered
exactly.
state of consciousness.
Yeah,
Mhm.
it's just intense focus and relaxation. Another one that's really typical, and it's a state that my husband calls my can't find state. It's like if you're looking for something and you're looking, say, I can't find it. Like, for example, you're looking for ketchup in the fridge, you're making breakfast, or you're making lunch, and you're saying, can't find the ketchup, can't find the ketchup, no ketchup, no ketchup, no ketchup. And then somebody walks in and says, well, here it is right in front of you. That's a hypnotic state called oh my God, I blanked on the word, negative hallucination. Because you've told yourself you can't find it, you can't find it, you can't find it. So you didn't see it.
Yes.
So if you ever get in that state, leave the room or step away from what you're doing, go do something else, and then come back and you'll probably find it.
Yeah.
And I didn't tell you about this, but there are also two other times that you're very, very in it. You're almost in that kind of same kind of state. It's when you're just waking up in the morning and when you're going to sleep at night. You're kind of in that in between awake and asleep state. That's
Mhm.
also that's another time when you're in hypnosis. But if you get involved you know, in a task and you're focused on something, like I told you about the election yesterday. I was working on an election campaign, and I got back to the campaign office with the numbers for my poll. And the candidate was typing all the numbers in on his laptop, and I told him to go and schmooze. I would do his data entry, and I was sitting there taking papers, typing numbers, taking papers, typing numbers, and what the place was like packed. It was full of people. It was an old, fast food restaurant built location. And a while later, my husband came up and said, Julia, and I said, go away, I'm busy. And the guy beside him said, how come she talked to you? I've been trying to get her attention for 15 minutes and she's ignored me. And what was going on was I was in a focused state of attention. I was taking numbers and I was doing something very repetitive, taking papers, typing numbers, taking papers, typing numbers. And so that guy was just part of the noise in the room.
Mhm.
He was part of the buzz. My husband, whose voice I recognized, it broke through to me. And it broke through the trance I was in, that I pretty much had put myself in, because repetition, focus. And so I was in a state of hypnosis doing that.
Yeah. And welcome Miss Charlotte and Twisted Sushi.
Hi,
Hope
guys.
everybody. And Julia pointed out that today is the 11th and we started at 11. So and we did have 11 watchers, but now we have more. So it was 11:11 when we started. So and then also too, I did want to mention it's something that we had talked about too, is if you're worried or frightened about being in a hypnotic state and not knowing what to do, or I know that when I'm in when I'm in session with her, let's say that I could get up and get a glass of water if I wanted to. It's not, if it's not like you're stuck there like glue, and she's going to make anybody cluck like a chicken, or make you think you're something that you're not, or anything like that. That so and also too, we talked about people are afraid they get stuck in hypnosis. So, and that can't happen, right?
Right, because when you're in hypnosis, what keeps you in hypnosis is listening to my voice. It's not like a swinging watch, and I'm not making you look at anything weird. You're focused on my voice and what I'm saying. Or your higher mind, your superconscious is focused on my voice and what I'm saying. And hi there. And so if I got up and left the room, or something happened and I passed out or whatever, eventually you would either just come back, open your eyes, and you'd be back, fully aware and back in the room, or you might fall asleep and have a nice nap. But yeah, it's if I stop talking for a really long period of time, you would just come back to full awareness. You can't get stuck there. And here's the reason why. When you're in hypnosis, you are completely in control. I can't control anybody. My usual joke to people is, if I could make people do stuff they didn't want to do in hypnosis, I'd be living in the Cayman Islands, because I'd have people robbing banks, sending me the money, and forgetting they did it. And since I get to shovel snow with everybody else in Canada, at least,
Yeah.
or most of Canada, I can't do that.
Yeah. And Gerald's saying hi to everyone. And it's funny, like, we did not plan on wearing the same
No,
color,
we didn't.
and we ended up in the same color scheme. It was very interesting.
Must be a Pisces thing.
Yeah. Pisces thing. Now, also, okay, so we're moving right along. If anybody has any questions, please put them in the chat. If you are curious about something, or just, I like Cat Mama put in the altered state of consciousness. I can put that up on the screen, and we can talk about that too. But there's a few different. Tell me the different. We've talked a bit about things that you can do now. You can do just like helping. Hi, Lori. Helping you with fingernail biting, helping you with bad habits, things like that. But also, there you can do past life.
Yeah,
Okay, you can do interlife.
interlife.
So those are lives that are in between lives. Um, and oh, this is a perfect. So you are a guide to help people connect to their higher self.
I love that, Gerald.
Boom,
Boom.
right there. And it's true. And I was working with somebody. I wasn't working with somebody yesterday. I was doing something with somebody, and they said, I just feel disconnected. I don't feel connected. And I'm like, okay, well, let's work on this. And I'm like, wait a second. Do you not feel connected to source, or do you not feel connected to your body? And she says, I don't feel connected to source. So I'm like, okay, we can deal with that. And I think it's through the confidence and the help that you've given me that I didn't do hypnosis. I don't do hypnosis. I did a tarot card reading for her, but I really got into it, and it really helped her. And then she did a Akashic record reading for me, and because she was saying she couldn't connect, and she did a great reading on me.
Awesome.
So yeah, what does it take for someone to benefit? Thank you, Gerald. What does it take for someone to benefit from hypnosis?
Willingness to do the work, and willingness to do the change. Excuse me. And being motivated. I ask every potential client who reaches out to me, on a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being extremely motivated, where are you on that scale? And if I get a number under not, I look for a 9, or even better, a 10, or even better, an 11, which I've gotten. I've had people say 11. If I get an 8, I'll say, what's holding you back from getting to at least a 9? And often it could be fear. If I get someone who says 7 or under, and they can't get to at least an 8 or a 9, I tell them to call me back when they can at least be higher on that scale, because I don't want to take somebody's money if it's not going to really work for them.
Right. But what about the person that is that has fear around it? Will
We
you
can
help?
address that. I
Okay.
would.
Yeah.
And also, if they say like a 7 or under, I'll say why. And if it's a fear thing, we can talk about their fears, and I can try to alleviate those. And sometimes people can't get themselves up there. But if someone says a 3 right off the bat, they don't really want to make the change. I have people call me all the time saying, "Well, my wife wants me to quit smoking, or my husband wants me to do this," or and I'll say, "But do you really want to do it?" They'll say, "No, but I want to get them off my back." And I will say, "You know what? Unless you really want to, it's not going to work." I had a woman call me a few years ago, and she said, "I want a gift certificate for my boyfriend to help him quit smoking." And I said, "Okay, here's what, I don't sell gift certificates. So here's what you can do. Book a consultation for him. You guys can come," because it was when I did them in person. "You guys can come in. We can talk about it. You give him a card, you print out the appointment, and then buy him something nice for a gift and say, this is what I also want to give you this. And if you agree to do it, I'll pay for it." Well, they both came in together. We had a conversation. He didn't really want to quit, but at least he knew she loved him enough to make the effort and make the gesture, and it didn't
Yeah.
cost her any money.
Right. Okay. So and Pamela says it seems to me the benefits of hypnosis are as deep as the benefits of meditation.
They are. They are. The difference is that we work on a specific thing or a specific challenge in hypnosis. Um, a lot of people say hypnosis is like meditation with a goal.
Yeah.
If we're
Or
working for an outcome.
yeah. And I mean, I have to say when I came to Julia, I was broken. I was pretty darn broken. I can look like I've got it together, but I was broken. And I'm not broken anymore. And I can, I so much good has come into my life and so much bad has left my life, that it's only been beneficial to me.
Awesome.
And we were talking about, I would like to, now there's several different techniques, or what do you call, like, the different things that you do, like the finger of God, the fog.
Yeah.
What do you call
Protocols.
it? The protocol. Thank
Yeah.
you. Okay. The protocol. So on me, I really enjoyed the fog, which is called the finger of God, right?
Right.
And so and tell me about that one, and then I will tell you what I saw when you were doing it.
Awesome. Yeah. Finger of God is a protocol based on, I use a hypnosis protocol called the Utopia protocol. It's a new protocol. It was the person who created it only started teaching it a year ago, January. And so I think I was one of her first 4 students. Like when I knew she was doing, I said, "Sign me up." And I set the intention. I'm going to make the extra money I need to pay for this course. And I got it, and I paid her like well in advance. And so I was one of the first 4 students, I think, in her first intake. And it's a hypnosis process where you go to your utopia and you get that feeling of being in that place. And in the session, your conscious mind kind of just goes off and relaxes while we connect with your super conscious mind, your higher mind. And so I'm working with the super conscious mind in this process. And there are several kind of spin off, like sub protocols from it. And one of them is fog, finger of God. And what I really like about this one, it's really interactive, because typically in a hypnosis session, like most hypnosis sessions, you're communicating with something called ideomotor responses, which are finger signals. We establish a finger signal for yes and a finger or a thumb for no. And
I lay there with where she can see me, and she asked me a question, and I just lift a finger for yes or for no.
and
I,
so
I,
in
yeah.
in fog, we connect with, go to a higher level, a higher healing tempo. And I also, you're welcome, Gerald. Um, and so then also I will ask the superconscious to speak to me if the person wants to speak to me. If the person's conscious mind is going to allow their superconscious to speak to me, the superconscious can communicate with me verbally. And the other really cool thing about this, and I always look at my notes because I don't want to get things wrong. Also in Finger of God and Fog, we also invite in some extra help. We invite in the four archetypes: the warrior, magician, lover, protector, and the sovereign, king or queen. We invite them in to help with the session. We invite the 14 archangels to help with the session. And we invite in something called, hi Kiva. We also invite in something called the Heyoka. And this is something that means sacred clown or spiritual floor teacher in Dakota Native American dialects. So it's an empath entity. And so we invite all of them and all of these entities in to help us, the archangels, the archetypes, and the Heyoka. So we've got all of that coming in. Oh, and also the client's team, your spirit guides, and anything that is part of your spiritual team. We invite all them in to help with the session too. So it's very powerful.
If you invite them in, well, I don't know. We didn't talk about this, but I'm just curious. But so when you were doing the fog on me and the finger of God on me, and I can't tell you what Julia says because I don't really remember, things like this. But I remember, I mean, I don't remember all the things that Julia was saying, but I remember like seeing with my eyes closed, really the hand of God, the finger of God, and going up, and I'm getting chills right now, going up and down my body and making adjustments wherever they were needed. And it was crazy. And I don't know if that's just because that's me. I'm a Pisces. I have a lot of an active imagination, or things like that. But it felt really super real.
Well, and this is probably the time for me to say, just how you always like to say for entertainment purposes, I have to say results are not typical.
Yeah,
Everybody's experience is different.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, I trust a person who uses notes. It lets me know they want the best outcome for me and for everyone who is along with their work. Yes. Yeah. And so I mean, I'm not exactly a great example just because of the fact that, well,
oh, you're a fabulous example.
I mean, I am a good example because, like I said, I was broken. And it helped me unbreak myself. I can't say that Julia, fixed me.
You did. No, you fixed you.
I did the work, but she led me to that place. Oh, I don't even know how that happened.
Wow.
I did not.
That's something else. And it's so cool that happened as you were saying that.
You have to do like this or something or like this. I don't know. Anyway, There we go. Yes, I was extremely willing to do the work. And it's almost like tarot card readings in the sense where we can tell you things, but you have to how's that for validation, Jane? Well, I wasn't even doing the thing and it happened. I don't know. Yeah. I mean, I have the power. Wait.
There we go. Balloons, confetti.
So I can do, but that particular thing that happened, I didn't do anything for it. But at any rate,
yeah, you did.
Yeah, I really wanted to change. I wanted goodness in my life. I didn't want to feel broken. I didn't want to. I don't want to say, all of the things that I was feeling because, just know that I was at my lowest low, and I've been at a very, this was a place where I lived. was in this lowness and lonely and low. And it healed so much of that. And like I said, when you were doing the finger of God, I literally could see through my mind's eye just all this stuff happening around me.
Yeah, you always have very physical and visual experiences when you do hypnosis. It's kind of cool.
Yeah, somebody's
Yeah.
knocking at my door. Sorry, it's just a dog. Is she not home yet? Sorry, grandbaby dog.
Oh,
Mama
you
was
want to put
supposed to
it
be home
down?
earlier. Yeah, it's just the grandbaby dog. So here's
Mm.
your blanket. Sorry about that. Yeah, I mean, I am willing, but I think that there's a lot of people out there just because I was, so desperate and willing and able to do all that work. That doesn't mean that people won't have the same type of
Oh
experiences
no.
that I had, because I mean that you can get into that too. And it might take a couple of sessions. Like
Oh yeah.
I would even say, it might even, hi, Karen. It might even take you a little while to get to that place where you're like, okay, I'm ready to do anything. Because when you, in that window of when you're in a therapy, in a hypnotic session with you, um, you can take all of that information later. It stays with you. It
Hmm.
never goes, like, uh, I mean, like I said, I can get up and walk away. Julia's not always in my head. She doesn't get in my head. She just leads me. But I know that I was willing. Would say my only question, and sorry if you went over it, but Dolores Cannon had said she worked in the deepest levels of the subconscious. Why wouldn't every hypnotist do this? Is it up to the patient?
Well, yeah, I mean, like I take the clients to I work with the superconscious, which to me is deep.
Yeah,
The,
and
the higher mind, the party that knows everything about you. Um, I don't know. And I don't need to know because I do the session and it's up to the client. I don't like the word patient because I'm not a doctor. It's up to the client to allow themselves to go where they want to go.
yeah,
I can't control how deep somebody goes. It's up to them. When I first learned how to do this, I was practicing with a friend and she allowed herself to get so deep that I asked her I said, there's a clock on the wall in front of you, describe it to me. And she described the clock to me. There was no clock, which is a negative hallucination. She
mm-hmm.
saw something that wasn't there. But I had no control because she was doing it internally. She was doing the work.
Yeah, yes, and I think your name is Amanda Twisted Sushi. I'm not exactly sure. I hope it is. Whatever. It we she does. If we did go over this a little bit, is that's what we do when she puts you in hypnosis, and she does the
Okay,
utopia.
protocol, yeah.
Yeah, that's when you connect to your super consciousness, and so your super consciousness kind of takes, is right there, and it knows everything that I've hidden, you know. Um, yeah, that makes sense as long as it's healing to
Exactly,
them. Hmm.
exactly. It's like there are people who say, well, how do you know if getting into past life regression, people say, how do you know they really went to a past life? Well, you don't really know if they went to a past life. They may not even know if they really went to a past life. But if it helped them, what's it matter?
Yeah,
If they got what they needed from it.
yeah. Although I do believe, I mean, I've had past life regressions, and
Oh
we
yeah,
have not. We have. I don't think we've done
we
one.
haven't done one yet.
We're going to, though. I'll tell
Yeah.
you that. But and Yeah, for me, it was kind of like, yeah, I could see the lives. I didn't
Oh, yeah.
feel need the
And
light,
no, people go there. I mean, I went years ago, I did a past life regression on someone, and it was interesting because I said, "Okay, describe where you are." And I said, "Describe what you're wearing." And I thought she was like in caveman times because she had
Wow.
this brown thing on and it was very, deserty around her and it was very dry. And I said, "Where are you?" And she said she was in Israel. And it was obvious before Israel became Israel because it was a long time ago. But she said she was standing there holding a little boy's hand, and she said she could physically feel the little boy's hand in her physical hand. So I believe it works, and I believe in it. But there are people that say, "Well, is it something they're making up, or is it something real?" And I don't know the answer. And you know me, Jane. If I don't know the answer, I will say I don't know. I'm not going to blow smoke up, to make someone to make me sound like I'm smarter than I am. If I don't know the answer, I'll say I don't know the answer. But I
Yeah,
do know it works.
yeah, and I mean, Julia is really good in that sense that, she's really open about those things and she's not, sometimes, like, she's not like a carnival barker, she's not like a, "Come and get hypnotized, I can fix everything," it's like, it's a working together and then doing all the homework that you
Yeah.
have to do. And I think that doing the meditation helps you with the homework. I mean, there's realizations, you can have aha moments during the hypnosis that then you can take, and you remember everything as well. I mean, I don't remember our past sessions now, like the finger of God one, except for I just remember the way I felt and what I experienced and the growth that I had after that. But I mean, it's not like you're asleep, you're
No.
awake, you're just very, very, very comfortable. Especially since she's in Canada, a lot of us will just be, she does it over the internet, and it's like she's right there with you. And I'm happy to share space with Julia anytime. Yeah, and yeah, Tara Stash just says he likes it when somebody says, "I don't know." That's honesty. That honesty develops trust for me. Yes, imagine knowing everything. Kind of boring, right?
Yeah. We were going to talk about the interlife process too.
Yes, which is
Yeah.
another thing I want to do. Tell me about that one.
Well, when it comes to there's the typical past life regression everybody's familiar with. But then there's also a future life progression where you can either go to a future life in the future or a future in this life, a future time. But there's also interlife, and that's the one I really love because when I did the training in it, obviously we were doing it on each other, pair it off. And in the interlife, it's not you go to that life between lives place, but you also get to go to visit your Akashic records and you get to have a conversation with somebody on the other side. And when I did my training, and I'm going to start to tear up here because I used to have a dog named Jet. He died when he was about 12 and a half in 2016. He was a standard poodle, and he was what people refer to as their heart dog. He was like my boy. And when I was doing the training, Jet was there when the hypnosis session started. Like I could feel him saying, "Yeah, come on, let's talk, let's talk, let's talk." And finally, we got to the point where I could talk to him, and he just like came in like tail wagging, and it was so cool.
Now that thinking about that now, I think it was Jet that I had a dog following me around all day yesterday. Like, you mean not a real dog, not like I couldn't but I mean I had a dog that had passed that was that just was following me around, just following me around. And I was like, and I didn't even think, I don't know why I didn't think to turn around and go, "Well, who are you? What's your name?" I
Yeah.
was just like, "Well, there's this dog following me around and this is interesting." I guess I just didn't know that I would be able to communicate with a dog, which, Viviani, who was in the chat, I hear she's a really good animal communicator. So
Mhm.
Maybe she would be able to tell me who that dog was, but it probably was Jet. It
Yeah.
was a bigger dog,
Yeah.
it wasn't a small dog, it was a bigger dog, and, it may well have been, like, black. It felt poodle-ish,
Yeah. That would have
you
been
know
it.
so and I didn't even think that it was your dog, you know?
Yeah.
Oh.
But yeah,
Oh,
so the interlife session is pretty cool. I did it once with a client a couple of years ago. Was using a different protocol, but she actually had a conversation with her grandfather, who she was really close to.
that's really cool.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I don't it's funny, and I'm just reading let me just read what he said. "My phone died, and I typed my cards, and Jane read them for you. Goddess, I've upped my live presence." Okay, well, there you go. And then, that is so interesting. I always feel I have a dog around me to the point where I feel like I always have to hurry home.
Wow.
Ah, wow. So that's probably your soul dog. Because I was watching something last night, and they were talking about, soul that you have soul contracts with dogs. But anyways, we're not here to talk about soul contracts and stuff
No.
like that.
So interlife is really cool.
Yeah.
Really kind of a cool tech process as well. So yeah, you can do anything with you can work on almost anything with hypnosis. I worked with a lady in Germany who needed some help. She didn't want to have medication if she could help it, and she used it to have a baby.
Oh, wow, that's really cool.
So,
Yeah, I know, and I was telling, sometimes I forget that I have these tools, and I'm always in pain, and I've been in a lot of pain this week, but, that's don't worry about me, it's just my life. But
mm,
Julia's like, "Well, did you use your self-hypnosis?" And I'm like, "No." I totally, like, it escapes my mind. So, I think that, I know I have that tool and I should use it more, and I know I will be using it today. I mean, every day before I go on, if you ever see me, you can't see my hands. I'll go like this. I'm always like this with my hands on, my crystals, and then that's how I connect to my higher self, my super, and then I do the what do you call that? The self-hypnosis?
so
Yeah, well, I mean, what you the utopia.
utopia,
Um,
yeah.
yeah. Hi, Debbie Joyce. Yeah, so, I will do that utopia. I will do connecting to my super consciousness before I do, anybody's readings or cards, or when I call in the angels and things like that, and I have felt like it it really is a super connection with my super consciousness that I learned to create with Julia. So, yeah, isn't that what happens? We forget the tools, we have. I do. I wonder how we might remember the tools we have in our toolbox. Maybe we need a representation of a toolbox, like,
Maybe
all over the
maybe
place.
put a screensaver on your computer with the toolbox on it or something.
Yeah, because we all have these toolboxes. We all have our tools, and we all, as children, we all have our coping mechanisms and our tools that we got as children. And if we did not receive those coping mechanisms or those skills, um, you know, then we have to learn them later in life. And that's okay, and you might find, I think it might very well be said that, in these sessions when you're doing a lot of this, that you can find, oh, I did that to cope, that's why I do this particular habit now. Like I was saying, I don't have as much anxiety as I did.
It's why I was a nail biter. That was my coping mechanism to deal with the stuff I grew up with, stuff that was going on in my home when I was growing up. I'm sure that was part of it. That was a big part of it.
Yeah, yeah, how might we remember that? And he goes, and there's nothing wrong when we forget. Yeah,
Exactly.
I oh, wait, okay, so oh, here we go. How does self-hypnosis work? You say words to get into the hypnosis. Can you get out of self-hypnosis once you put yourself in?
Yeah, I'll tell you how it works. At the end of the first session, and I consider what we do at the end of the session as important as what we do during the session. Because in the session, we program in 2 trigger words or keywords. And then those are the words you use to take, like you may not go real deep into hypnosis when you use self hypnosis, but you'll go to a place where you can get nice and focused and relaxed. And so we program in those words, we compound them in. And then when you emerge from your first session, we practice going in, and I'll tell you what the 2 words are. It's like, you would to do yourself. Well, Jane, it's like you close your eyes or you can open your eyes. It's up to you. Super conscious, please take me to utopia. And when you feel you're there, you feel that relaxation. And then you say super conscious, please take me to sleep. Those are the 2 words. Those get programmed in the first session, and you can use them for anything. And we practice that like several times before the appointment is over, because I want you to know. And what I tell people to do is, or suggest you do is, do it when you first wake up in the morning before you get up, and set your day up for a good day. Do it when
Yeah.
you go to bed at night so you can get a good night's restful sleep. Or use it for any time during the day you want to. If you're having a stressful day at work, close your office door or find a boardroom, or just go sit in the bathroom. No one else needs to know what you're doing, and do some self-hypnosis then. I often also say, you know what? If you want to have fun with it, set the intention you're going to stay in hypnosis for 5 minutes or 10 minutes. Look at the clock before you start, and look at the clock when you open your eyes, and see how close you were to the time.
Oh, that's a great idea.
Yeah.
So, and then Miss Charlotte too, yeah, like I was saying earlier, and anytime you're in, it's not you're just really super relaxed. And you came in a little bit later. I said that when I'm in a hypnosis session, if I wanted to, I could get up and go get a glass of water. There's no like breaking of the connection. If something happened to Julia, we were in the middle of a session and her internet went out, I'd be like, where'd Julia go? Or I would just fall asleep, or the session's over. There's no I mean, when you're having a session, she does bring you out of it. She does the counting.
Yeah, you go way deeper when you're guided into hypnosis by me in a hypnosis session than you do in your own self-hypnosis. But you
Okay,
don't,
bingo.
yeah, but you don't have to be real deep to relax and, have your mind do work for you. Something you said earlier about numbers of sessions, hypnosis is rarely a one and done thing. For if you're working on an issue, for most people who come to me for challenges, I start with 2 sessions. And it can take anywhere. They say it can take anywhere. What I've seen online, people say it takes 4 to 6 sessions to make a change. I would change it to say it takes between 2 to 6, because a lot of people by the second session, they've got it under control. Like I worked with a guy last week. I worked with him on Friday for his second session. We did it online because he was like 1,000 miles away from me, and he was a nail biter. And when he came in, we did his first session, then we did his second one last Friday, 10 days later. And he said, I've hardly bit my nails. He said, I don't think I bit my nails, but I'm still picking at around the skin. It's okay, great. We'll work on that now. And we worked on that. But most of the time, I know that nail biting is about 2 to 3 sessions.
Yeah. Plucky Heroine says, I had a hypnotic suggestion about 40 years ago. I thought it was comprehensive at the time, that I didn't need to maintain the suggestion on my own by self.
Hypnosis, probably.
Yeah. So yes, and yes, I thought it was a one and done. So yeah, and there can be people who have a one and done.
Mm-hmm. And in that case, if someone comes in for their second session and says, you know what, let's use nail biting because it's my near and dear to my heart. Someone comes into their second session, I haven't bit my nails all week. Fantastic, great. Let's just reinforce that now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, okay, and Julia is a great facilitator. And we talked about you won't get stuck in hypnosis. Um, Julia, you were thinking about doing a self-hypnosis
Workshop.
training workshop on weekends, like doing a workshop with, say, how I tell me how that would work.
Basically, yeah, I'm toying with, like, one of the sessions you and I did together was something called Reconnection to Self,
That
Closing the
was the last
Divide.
one we did. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's a really cool one too. And so what I'm looking at doing is setting up a workshop, and I've taken the Closing the Divide document and modified it because it's designed for a one-on-one session. And so I've modified it, and I've actually sent it to the person who created it to say, "Hey, give me your feedback because this is your work." Because she said, "Well, she said, she said, you know what you're doing. You're good at this stuff. You don't need me." But I said, "Fine, but I wanted you to see because this is your work. So if I'm modifying it, you should know about it." She was okay with
Absolutely.
it, and so I'm modifying it to so that I can use it for a group session because it's a really nice session. And so what I want to do is set up a workshop, and maybe if you want to be in on it, I can take 11 people because I don't use Zoom for this stuff. I don't like Zoom. I don't use Zoom. I use something else called Doxy. And I think I can have up to 12 people in a group session. And so basically the first part would be, we'll talk about hypnosis, what it is, et cetera, et cetera. Then we'll do a hypnosis session where we install the keywords. I don't like to use the word trigger, because that has negative connotations for a lot of people. So I use the phrase keywords. Then we'll install the keywords, and I'll teach you how to do self-hypnosis. Then we'll use those keywords to take everybody into another session, and then we'll do a real session, like a reconnection to self or whatever. And
Mhm.
so yeah, I'm looking at doing that. I'm thinking I'm going to probably charge about $150 for it Canadian, which for people in the States is probably like $75 or $100, which, but I'm just trying to decide, am I going to do it over 2 sessions or just do one big session? So I'm trying to figure that one out.
Okay.
But
Well,
stay tuned,
so
I'll let you know.
yeah, and I just want to get all this information out there because we're coming up on an hour. We're not quite there yet. We still have a little bit of time, but we're only going to go for an hour. Um, if you want to learn more about Julia Wooster, she has her juliawooster.com is where you can find information about her.
Yeah.
And if you wanted to book, but we're not here to sell Julia
No,
or
no.
get her clients or to have everybody come and do this group thing. It was just something that I have been working with Julia. I thought it was really interesting. I felt like it was life-changing. I've had Julia on before. It got a lot of interest. A lot of people were asking questions, and it was a great one, but I had to take it down. And yeah, I had to take it down because it got a little too personal, because I was so excited.
Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, so that's why we're doing it again. And we should, we might do it again, and who knows, we can always talk. So I'm hoping that anybody that watches this after we are done, like if you're watching in the future, and also by the way, if you could hit the thumbs up, like, subscribe, do all those things, that'd be great. It really helps the channel. But also if you're watching in the future, know that that this is one of those things you can watch and you can come back to and figure out if it's something that you want to do, if you have a specific question.
Could I
And
add something, Jane?
huh?
Could I add something?
Yeah.
I just wanted to suggest to people, or say, if you're thinking about having hypnosis, find someone you feel really comfortable with. I know that I've known hypnotists say, I don't care if the person's comfortable with me or not. They come in, we do the work. I think it's really important to feel comfortable with the person you're working with. So if anybody out there is thinking about having hypnosis, you know what? Call a few people, book a few consultations, and have a conversation with them, and find out, see how you feel with them. Make sure you vibe with them,
Yeah.
because I think it's really important. If someone calls me and has a consultation and they don't really feel that comfortable with me, and if they want to go with somebody else, it doesn't hurt my feelings because I want them to get the best for them.
Yeah.
And
And
if,
that,
if they feel better with somebody else, by all means, go to that somebody else.
yeah. And I had the exact opposite experience. I went to somebody else. I went to somebody that was right here that lived in my tiny little town. I was like in shock. And I liked her. Okay. But I didn't connect with her. And what I feel like with Julia is she doesn't have that big, huge ego. She's and I can connect with her on this level. We can, and I think that's really important because I'm going to say this. Julia does not have a big, huge ego. Like she says, go to a hypnotherapist you feel comfortable with, or a hypnotist, whatever it is, whatever, that you feel comfortable with. And if that's Julia, great. If it's someone else, fantastic. But what we want to talk about this is so that we can help you explore this option and this mighty powerful tool that we can have that we can use. Yeah. And Gerald's like, yeah, a consultation is an important step. And
I
yes,
agree.
Thomas, I'm looking forward to the tarot of oppositions later on today. We got my deck right here. Anyway, that just happened to show up in the chat. So yeah, connection is important. Yeah. And yeah, and to support you on your path, you know, and that's why I'm really grateful for you, Julia,
Well, I'm
because
grateful for you too, because you've done some, really, you did a reading for me a couple weeks ago that was amazing. So thank you.
oh well, thank you. I must have been connected to my higher
You
consciousness.
must have been. But yeah, this was fun. I appreciate your having me on here today. And I'd like to thank everybody who's watching this now or watching in the future. Hey, thanks for watching.
Yeah, and thank you for, being on, and we just love that we started that today's the 11th and we started at 11 a.m.
11.
I didn't even realize we had done that. And then Julia like sends me a message. She goes, we're going to be on at 11 on the 11th. And I was like, that's fantastic.
Yeah, because we had been talking about 10 o'clock, and you said, no, maybe we should do 11 instead. So obviously there was a reason we were doing at 11 on the 11th.
Yeah. So that's how person, not per oh, okay. What connection is important to this person is here to support you on your path. Person, not
Yeah,
period. Very good.
yeah,
Yes. Yeah. And a consultation. Yeah.
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 Absolutely. If someone isn't going, won't, take the time to talk to you, um, and most people do consultations for free. Some people might charge because they want to make sure you show up, because you have no idea how many people over the last 11 years have booked consultations and been like no shows when the time came. So some people might charge for that. I did for a while, but I refunded the money. But it just got to be a bookkeeping nightmare, and I stopped doing it. And now if they show, they show. They don't, they don't. Most people show up. Um, but another thing too, if you have a consultation with someone, make sure you're in a place where you can like actually focus on the conversation. Don't, be out, walking your kids, or walking, out with the kids, or walking the dog, or, driving your car. Find a place you can actually sit and talk to the person. That's really important too.
That's a great tip.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you know
Yeah.
what, if someone will take the time to give you a consultation, you know, I don't know about you, but Jane, but personally, if someone's not going to take the time to talk to me and let me get, ask them questions and find out more about them, they're not somebody I personally want to work with.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. I agree. And that's what, and I like your integrity.
Thank you.
And like I said, you don't have there's no ego interference. She takes what she learns, she does it, and she's very good.
Well, it's always bugged me when I hear
Mhm.
people calling themselves healers because good idea, Gerald. Because, we're just the facilitator or the method of delivery. Like when I used to teach Reiki, I would tell my students, "You're not a healer. You're the FedEx delivery person." FedEx shows up at the door. They hand you the package. What you do with that package is up to you,
Yeah.
not the
Well,
delivery person.
and a lot of people are getting into the Akashic records, and you say that in the finger of God, I believe it is, or no, it's the
Inner
the
life.
uh,
Inner
inner
life.
life, inner life. Yeah. Um, yeah, only I can heal me. Absolutely.
Exactly. Well, there's an old joke, and my husband and I love it. And we told my brother-in-law, who's a doctor, it was, and he howled. And the joke is, what's the difference between God and a doctor? And God knows he's not a doctor.
I love that. Yes.
And my
Yeah.
brother-in-law thought that was hilarious too, and he is a doctor.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So, but it's
It
nice
is.
to have help. I'm telling you, it's I thought that I was doing really good. I was doing the work. I was, taking classes. I was doing all kinds of stuff, but um it just I would still get stuck. So, I
You had
mean,
some inner stuff you had to heal.
yeah, I had, and until that stuff was fully healed, um I couldn't progress. And yeah, it's an ongoing process. And that's why I'm never giving Julia up. When I need a session, I will, she's very easy to talk to, as you can tell. I mean, and she will do her best to try and help. Like she said, you have to have the right, you have to really want to do it. You have to trust the person that you're seeing, and you have to keep your expectations realistic.
Mhm.
May not be a one and done, but I know after a few sessions with Julia, I felt so much better. And the more I do it, the easier it is to go in, and the easier it is to work on things.
Mhm.
Yeah, sometimes we just don't know what. Whoops, I thought I saw that. Why won't that go on here? There. Sometimes we just don't know what we don't know. Yeah, and like Julia said, and Julia, there you go.
I'll take it, Gerald.
Like Julia said, you got to trust the person. So this was just an
Yeah.
introduction. So like I say, anybody who's watching after later on, um, I think this is it. Yeah, please remember to ask after we're all over. Ask the questions, whoever you are that's watching in the future, and these can be questions that we can do another one on. We can do another, you know people as people think of more questions or more thoughts or more, you know we can possibly do this again, but have, at a different time, and have different questions. And I think that sounds really, really good. I'm looking
Sure.
forward to what people question. I
Yeah.
think I think questions are very indicative of, I don't know, I just love questions. I love asking questions. I love it when people ask me questions, because you
Yeah.
can find out so much about the questions that you ask yourself.
A smart person asks questions.
Yeah, and I didn't, I learned that in school, because I would never raise my hands. I was like, I know everything. And then I was like, oh, wait a second. You know what? I really don't know everything. And that was just silly of me. But I had to be that way in order to get through my, yeah, clarity.
Yeah,
I had to be that way to get through my life the way it was. So,
absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely. Well, thank
Anyway,
you so much, Jane.
thank you, Julia. And thank you, everybody, for watching
Yeah.
and asking your questions and putting in your own information. And I just thank you, and everybody have a great day. Julia, have a great day. Hang out for a second, and thank you all for being here. Thank you, moderators, for keeping us safe. Thank you to all of the anybody who subscribes, and I appreciate you all. And thank you for being here.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.